Some betrayals don't come crashing down. They whisper through the cracks. They leak into your life slowly until one day, the floor caves in and you realize you've been living above a lie. My name is Eric. I'm 34. And what I'm about to tell you didn't start with a scandal. It started with a question. One I wasn't supposed to ask. One she never wanted to answer. Her name was Vanessa. Beautiful, clever, magnetic, the kind of woman who walks into a room and makes gravity shift. We'd been together for almost 7 years. No rings, no ceremony, but we built a life that felt permanent. Real. She had a daughter, Lila, when we met. Just 2 years old at the time. I raised her like my own. Taught her how to ride a bike. Was there for her first day of school. Sat up during fevers and nightmares, the whole deal. To me, she was my kid. Vanessa never corrected that. Never said otherwise. She'd smile and say, "You're the best thing that ever happened to us." But something shifted around year 6. Vanessa grew more distant. Secretive. Her phone suddenly had a lock screen. She stopped talking about her day. Stopped asking about mine. And there was this tension, quiet, but sharp. Like we were two actors still playing the same scene long after the script had ended. I didn't want to believe it. Didn't want to go digging. But then one night, during dinner, Lila asked, "Why don't I look like you?" Just 7 years old, poking at her mashed potatoes, completely unaware of the grenade she dropped in the middle of the table. I looked at Vanessa. She froze. "Because you take after your mom," I said, trying to smile. But Vanessa didn't say anything. She just kept chewing. And in that silence, in that precise moment, something inside me woke up. That night, after Lila went to bed, I asked her again, "Vanessa, am I her biological father?" She didn't answer at first, just stared out the window, then said, "Does it really matter?" That was it. No denial. No reassurance. Just deflection. And in that moment, I knew the answer. Even before the DNA test. Even before the full truth came crashing down. I knew everything was about to break. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in the dark beside her, eyes wide open, watching the ceiling like it might blink first. Vanessa turned away from me in bed, as she had been for months, and I realized that somehow, without a single fight or shout, we'd already become strangers. But it wasn't about us anymore. It was about Lila, the girl who called me Dad, the one I'd held through every scraped knee, every birthday, every bedtime story. What if I wasn't her father? What if I was just a placeholder? The next day, I drove to a pharmacy and bought a DNA test kit. I told myself it was just to clear my head, that I was overthinking, that I was being paranoid because of the way Vanessa had changed lately. But deep down, I already knew. It took 5 days to get the results. 5 days of pretending. Of brushing Lila's hair, packing her lunch, helping her with math homework, while a part of me quietly unraveled. I didn't tell Vanessa about the test. She barely noticed I was quiet. She was always distracted now, glued to her phone, working late, scrolling in bed with the screen turned away from me. Once, I walked into the kitchen and saw her quickly lock her phone. I said nothing, just added another piece to the puzzle. Then the email came. Subject line, "Your DNA results are ready." I stared at the screen for a full hour before opening it. My hands were shaking. I felt sick. But I clicked. And there it was. Probability of paternity, 0%. The world didn't spin. It stopped. I sat in the same chair for almost 2 hours, staring at the wall, while Lila laughed in the next room, watching cartoons. She had no idea. And that was the worst part. None of this was her fault. She didn't lie. She didn't manipulate. She didn't destroy trust. Vanessa did. And now, everything had changed. I didn't confront her that night. I couldn't. Because when you've been living in a lie for 7 years, you don't just rip it apart in one breath. You plan. You build your exit. You get ready for the day you finally ask, not if they lied, but how long they plan to keep lying. It was a Tuesday night. The house was quiet. Lila was already asleep. The hallway light dimmed like always, her comfort against bad dreams. I sat at the kitchen table, the DNA test results open on my laptop. I didn't plan a speech. Didn't rehearse what to say. Because this time, I wasn't looking for answers. I was looking for honesty. Vanessa walked in with her usual calm, bag over her shoulder, phone in hand, eyes half on a text. "Hey, something wrong?" I motioned to the laptop. She hesitated, then looked at the screen. The silence stretched. And then she said the one thing that told me everything I needed to know. "Where did you get that?" Not, "I can explain." That's wrong. Not even a single tear. Just defense. You knew, I said. You knew the whole time, and you let me believe she was mine. She didn't deny it. She didn't have to. The silence between us was louder than any scream. She sat down slowly, like she was bracing for impact. It was complicated, she said. I was scared. I didn't think you'd stay if you knew. I laughed. Not out of humor, out of disbelief. You didn't think I'd stay? I raised her. I gave you everything. You gave me a lie in return. The mask slipped. She started to shift the blame. You were so eager to play the hero. You wanted to be the dad. I didn't force that on you. It was like watching a drowning person push someone else under just to breathe. But I didn't argue. There was nothing left to win. I looked her in the eyes and said, you could have told me at the start, or 5 years ago, or last week. But you didn't. You let me build my life around someone else's truth, and you watched me do it. So now, I'm done. She tried to stop me. Said we could fix it. That it didn't change anything. But it did. It changed everything. Because love can survive hardship. It can survive struggle and even anger. But it cannot survive contempt. And lying to someone, every day, for years, while they raise a child you know isn't theirs. That's not just betrayal. That's cruelty. Vanessa thought I'd just disappear. Take my pain, my broken trust, and walk away quietly. But I'd spent 7 years giving her the benefit of the doubt. 7 years building a life on sand. 7 years raising someone else's child while she smiled and said, thank you. No. She didn't get to walk away clean. The next morning, I called a lawyer. Not for custody. Not for revenge. For the truth in writing. Because what Vanessa had done wasn't just emotional deception. It was legal. She'd allowed me to be named as Lila's father on school forms, medical records, tax documents. And while I loved that girl like my own, I wasn't going to be chained to a lie for the rest of my life. I had rights. And now, I was going to use them. I submitted a formal paternity dispute. When she got the notice in the mail, Vanessa called me in a panic. Eric, what are you doing? This isn't necessary. You made it necessary, I said. I gave you a chance to be honest. You made a choice. Now I'm making mine. But I wasn't done. I found the man who was Lila's biological father. It took some digging, names she'd mentioned offhand years ago, vague references from old Facebook posts. But I found him. His name was Daniel. And when I reached out, his reaction told me everything I needed to know. Wait, Vanessa had a daughter? He didn't even know. We met in person. I showed him the test results, the timeline. He went pale, then furious. She told me she wasn't pregnant. Said it was a scare. I told him I wasn't trying to dump responsibility on him, just to set the record straight. But he deserved to know the truth too. Meanwhile, Vanessa spiraled. She begged me not to tell Lila. Begged me not to talk to Daniel. Tried every tactic, guilt, gaslighting, even threats. But none of it worked anymore. Because she'd already made every decision that brought us here. And now, for the first time, I was choosing how this story ended. I didn't scream. Didn't fight. Didn't post angry rants online. I just documented everything. And sent the papers in. Because when someone builds a lie that big, they never expect it to fall. And they certainly never expect you to be the one who brings it down, calmly, completely, and with no second chances. Telling the truth to an adult is hard. Telling it to a child? That's a different kind of impossible. Because children don't understand betrayal the way we do. They don't calculate lies, or weigh intentions, or think in terms of biological and legal. They just feel. And Lila had always felt safe with me. Always run to me when she was scared. Always held my hand without hesitation. How do you explain to a 7-year-old that everything she thought was permanent wasn't? I waited a week after the papers were filed. I needed to be sure I could keep my voice steady. Vanessa begged me not to say anything. She's too young. She won't understand. But she had forfeited the right to decide what Lila got to understand. So I picked a Saturday afternoon. No school. No distractions. Just the two of us on the porch swing, where we used to sit and count stars. Hey, sweetie, I said. Can I tell you something kind of big? She looked up at me, curious. I took a breath. You know how we always say that families come in all shapes? That sometimes people who love each other don't always look alike. She nodded. Well, I found out something important. Something about when you were born. Her face tightened, like she sensed the ear shift. You've always been my girl, I said. Always. That hasn't changed. But I learned that I'm not your biological dad. Silence. Longer than I could bear. She blinked. Does that mean you're not my real dad? I swallowed the knot in my throat. It means someone else helped bring you into this world. But I'm still me. I'm still the one who helped you ride a bike, and stayed up with you when you were sick, and made the pancakes too thick because I forgot the recipe. She gave a small, crooked smile. You're still my daddy. And in that moment, I felt more broken and more whole than I ever had. It's been months since then. Vanessa and I are done. Completely dot. Daniel is slowly being introduced, carefully, gently, as someone new in Lila's life. And me? I still see her dot. Still take her to the park, still pick her up from school when I can. We're working out what family means now dot. Not out of obligation, but out of love. The kind that isn't tied to DNA. Because what I learned is this. The truth can destroy illusions dot. But it can also build something real in their place. And while Vanessa lied to me for 7 years, I told the truth to a 7-year-old. And she chose to believe in love anyway.